There's a number in physics that is so embarrassing, so spectacularly wrong, it's been called the worst theoretical prediction in the history of physics. It shows just how catastrophically our best theories of the universe fail when they try to predict the energy of empty space. This isn't a tiny rounding error. It's a failure on a scale that's almost impossible to wrap your head around. A number so colossally incorrect, it screams that we're missing something huge about the nature of reality itself. So how did we get it so spectacularly wrong? To figure that out, we need to tell a story of the very big and the very small and the massive canyon that separates them. On one side, you've got a titan, Albert Einstein's theory of general relativity. For more than 100 years, it's been our guide to the universe on the grandest scales. It pictures gravity not as a force, but as the very shape of space-time, a cosmic fabric that gets warped and bent by mass and energy. As the physicist John Wheeler put it, space-time tells matter how to move, matter tells space-time how to curve. General relativity has aced every test we've ever thrown at it, from predicting how starlight bends to the discovery of gravitational waves. It's the physics of dancing galaxies, newborn stars, and the inescapable pull of black holes. It's the physics of the very large. On the other side, we have an equally mighty titan, quantum field theory, or QFT. This is our rulebook for the very small. It's the wild and wacky world of subatomic particles, a place governed by probability and fleeting phantoms. QFT is the foundation of the standard model of particle physics, the most precisely tested theory in all of science. It's the reason we have lasers and microchips. The greatest crisis in modern physics erupts when we ask these two perfect theories the exact same simple question: what is the energy of nothing? First, let's ask general relativity. In 1917, Einstein added a new term to make the universe hold still, a move he'd later call his biggest blunder. But in 1998, astronomers found something shocking. The expansion was speeding up. Something was acting like a gentle cosmic anti-gravity. To explain it, physicists dusted off Einstein's idea, the cosmological constant. Today, we call it by a much cooler name, dark energy. What they found is that it's tiny, almost unbelievably small. It's a whisper of energy, equal to just a few protons in every cubic meter of space. Now let's turn to QFT. According to quantum mechanics, a vacuum isn't really empty. It's a fizzing, bubbling soup of virtual particles. This constant background hum, this zero-point energy, means every quantum field adds a little bit of energy to the vacuum. We have proof this is real. The Casimir effect. Place two metal plates close together in a vacuum, and they get pushed toward each other. Physicists used the successful math of QFT to add up all this quantum fizzing. The number they got wasn't small, it was a gargantuan roar. When we put the two numbers side by side, the whisper and the roar, we get the biggest failure in the history of science. The prediction for vacuum energy is 10 to the power of 120 times bigger than the value we actually observe. That's a 1 with 120 zeros. If your guess for an atom's size was off by that much, your atom would be bigger than the entire observable universe. This breaks language. If energy was that big, the repulsive force would have torn the universe to shreds in its first instant. No galaxies, no stars, no us. The simple fact that we are here is proof that the theory is catastrophically wrong. Our existence is a paradox that mocks our understanding. Physicists don't back down from a fight, and this is the biggest fight going. For decades, they've tried to bridge this impossible gap. One idea was supersymmetry. It suggests every particle has a heavier superpartner that would cancel out the vacuum energy. Problem is, we haven't found a single superpartner. Even if it exists, it's broken, leaving a vacuum energy that is still way too big. Then there's the controversial idea, the anthropic principle. It suggests we live in a multiverse with a staggering number of universes. By pure dumb luck, we live in a universe where the value is tiny, allowing life to form. We're here because we couldn't exist anywhere else. Many scientists hate it because it feels like giving up, relying on a principle that we can't ever test. It's a fight for a better answer. Other ideas get even wilder, suggesting we need to tweak gravity itself or rethink the nature of time. Enter Sir Roger Penrose. Penrose has a model where the universe goes through cycles of death and rebirth, a wasteland that looks just like the Big Bang of the next universe. Through some slick mathematical footwork, this endless cycle could naturally water down the vacuum energy over time. It's a bold attempt. This puzzle is more than a math error. It's a giant flashing neon sign from the cosmos, telling us we've missed something fundamental. It's a clue pointing toward a deeper reality we haven't grasped yet. This is the journey of modern physics. If exploring these profound mysteries gets your mind racing, subscribe and stick around for the journey. We're just getting started. Where does that leave us? With two of our most successful theories ever that clash in the most spectacular way possible when they look at empty space. We have a prediction that is meaningless. The great physicist Steven Weinberg once called it the most embarrassing problem in physics. Solving it will demand a revolution, a new theory that can finally unite gravity with the quantum world. But maybe problem is the wrong word. The fact that the vacuum energy is this one specific, life-giving number is perhaps the most important clue we have about the ultimate laws of nature. Our universe exists on an impossibly narrow habitable zone between blowing itself apart and collapsing into nothing. It's a delicate balance. The question of why is the single greatest question in physics and the one that will keep pushing us into the unknown. Until next time, never stop asking why.